What about the feet? The feet, Mommy! I gotta have the feet! The feet are the stuff that I need! I gotta have the... Tomorrow is the day of the Carnival of Feet. There'll be feet there and feet. And don't forget the feet! I'll be there if I'm not somewhere else at the one and only Carnival of Feet!
9 billion names of pod.
Oh, jeez. From Atlanta,
Now with 65% less barefoot hippies.
it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm damn sure gonna fix that tire.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
And by stuff, you mean feet?
Yeah, that's a thing that happened.
Nah, I'm kind of stuffed out. Let's go ahead and play part 2. But in spite of all of this, this is a film that needs to be watched a number of times because I walked away going, there's like 5-6 scenes that are just brilliant, but it's kind of unfocused in a way.
It's just kind of meandering.
Well, no, I don't want to say meandering. It's almost like, oh my God, I got to tell you something. Okay. And he just goes, I love Los Angeles. And just, there's so much he wanted to get in and probably more that maybe or maybe not was filmed that he, left on the floor. Mm-hmm. Because as we know in this day and age, unless you're got a big goddamn hammer or rocket boots, crossing the 3-hour mark,
yeah.
Right. And one of the things people are talking about in the industry is that they're watching this film because this is brand new, storytelling. This isn't a sequel. This isn't some,
Oh, yeah, it's not an existing property.
Exactly.
Like everything else.
Exactly. And if this does well, and it is, it met projections for the first week.
Okay.
They said 40. It did, I think, 40 and some change.
Yeah, 41, 42, something
right.
like that. Yeah.
And I think it's up to, 70 now. My gauge, personally, for the success of a film, first it has to, for it to do good, it has to double its budget. For it to do very good and be, worthy of the studios getting all wet about, it's got to triple its budget.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, just because, the budget says it was $90 million doesn't mean they shelled out $90 million.
It means it's $180 million
because of marketing.
Marketing budget is always twice the actual budget.
Well,
but still, I mean, it's
a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's not nothing. It's not a rounding error. And this film is on its way to slowly get there.
Right.
Tarantino's films have kind of been all over the place, money wise. The Hateful Eight did not do that well, but Pulp Fiction did very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think his Grindhouse film that he did with Robert Rodriguez, that didn't do well.
That didn't well at all. No,
I mean, and I watched it. It was fun. Not one of his best. Of course, it was him, and it was split.
Yeah,
it was.
Well, it was 2 movies, it was
right?
Death Proof and whatever the other one was.
Yeah. I think Death Proof was Quentin's one.
Yeah, and Rodriguez. I can't remember which one his
was.
Well,
because if I remember correctly, it came out they did these trailers.
Well, that was the thing that blew up out of Death Proof. No one cares about, but the trailers, that's where Machete came from. They were like, "This is great. We got to make that movie." And then Rodriguez was like, "Well, yeah, fuck, let's make that movie."
Yeah. Well, now I don't think Quentin was involved in Machete.
No, he wasn't. It was Rodriguez.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But they did better than the movie itself.
And I have not watched Machete, but I know one thing that Machete does not do.
He does not kill. No.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
My name is Machete, but I do not.
I forget what that. Yeah, I forget it.
He don't text.
He don't. And Eli Roth, that was the thing. The trailers were all done by different directors. And
right.
Eli Roth did one called Thanksgiving. White meat, dark meat, no one will be spared, or something like that. And he keeps saying he's going to do that movie. He's going to make a movie of that movie.
And then the studio goes, look at what happened to these other ones.
Yeah,
they didn't do too well.
Right.
Even with a machine gun leg.
Yeah. Oof.
I mean,
yeah.
Come on. Kurt Russell shows up in this film.
Yeah, isn't he Elvis or something?
No. He's like a studio, like a production guy.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And he hires reluctantly hires Cliff Booth to do some stunt work on this film he's working on. He does it reluctantly because there's a rumor around Hollywood that he murdered his wife and got away with it.
That guy?
Cliff Booth.
Oh.
Cliff Booth. He's a stuntman, but he's not getting a lot of work because people are like, I don't know. They show the scene where he's on the boat with his wife.
Really?
And she is a screeching harpy. Oh, my God. She's terrible.
Okay.
And he's just sitting there. And you've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
I have.
You've seen Vincent, talking to voice guy from Phil Lamar.
Yeah.
In the back seat.
Oh, yeah.
Holding the gun.
Yep.
Well, on the boat here, Cliff is holding a harpoon gun. And
that's oddly...
she's just going at him, and he kind of looks up, and then the scene cuts back. You never get and the whole audience went, "Oh, motherfucker!"
So you don't know.
You don't know. Was it an accident?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like he was like, "I'm gonna shoot."
He just happened to be.
He happened to have it there, and it happened to be kind of pointed in that direction, and you're like, does he pull the trigger on purpose, or does it kind of go off? Do you know?
That's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. So this film that he gets hired on by Kurt Russell's character has a major star in it.
Okay.
By the name of Bruce Lee.
I've heard about this scene too.
And Bruce Lee's daughter's not very happy about it.
With it at all.
Because he comes off as a pompous dick.
Yeah.
Who is saying, well, who would win in a thing between, Cassius Clay? I don't think he'd become Muhammad Ali yet.
Not in '69, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I think because it was in
the '70s. Yeah,
it was
for
in
sure.
Yeah. So who would win? Like it would never happen. It's but if it had to happen, like I would leave him a cripple. And Cliff's just over there going, "What's so funny?" Nothing. I'm not. It's all good. It's all good. And they end up fighting. Mm-hmm. Should I tell you how? By the way, spoilers, people.
Yeah, it's
you want
kind
me
of been randomly not spoilery too much. So.
Do you want me to tell you?
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, don't tell me.
Let's just say it's interesting, and
I've heard it's a great scene.
It's a great fucking scene. It's a really good scene.
Mm.
Another really good scene, like I said, the Spawn Ranch. He drives Pussycat up there, and they say, "Hey, look, it's I brought a friend, maybe a new recruit, because she doesn't know him that well. He's just a cool guy that she's seen driving around Hollywood, and he knows the place because he shot there." Mm-hmm. And I can't remember the name. I think it was Bob was the guy that owned the place.
Okay.
And does Bob still own this place? Yeah. Does Bob still live here? Yeah. Does Bob still live right there? And points right to the house where a lot of the creepiest Manson girls are hanging out watching television. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, you can't talk to Bob. He's sleeping. Yeah. Ugh. He needs a nap and all that other stuff. So I'm thinking, oh, did they kill Bob? They didn't kill Bob. But they set it up. They draw it out to the point where... And apparently the guy that was supposed to play Bob was Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, I heard
He
that.
made it all the way to the first script read.
Right.
And passed away before his film was shot. So Bruce Dern does it.
Oh, okay.
So he does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
But
Pacino's in this too, right?
He is.
Yeah.
He plays an agent that meets with Rick Dalton and tries to tell him, like, listen, kid, playing a mean guy in one episode of series television ain't gonna get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Now I've got a guy that can get you hooked up with spaghetti westerns over in Italy.
Yep.
Something Tarantino loves like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, Django and Hateful Eight are basically love letters to spaghetti westerns in a way. He does eventually do that, makes a little money, comes back. It's all fine. So, yes, Al Pacino's in there. But when Cliff comes back out of the house, Bob just said, I'm blind. Get out of here, whatever. Comes out. All the Manson people are gone, except for Pussycat. He says, you embarrassed me, because they said, don't go up there. Don't bother. You're like, I'm going to go up there anyway, And by this point, his character is a badass.
Okay.
I mean, he's a stuntman, but he will fuck you up. There's even a scene for the ladies there where he has to fix an aerial on top of Rick Dalton's house, and he takes off his shirt, and at 54, whatever, like, he hasn't missed a step, man. No? He's still Brad Pitt. Couple more lines in the face, but other than that, he is still Brad Pitting it up. I've noticed a couple of ladies on the Facebook been like, damn, boy.
Yep.
Never thought I'd go for a 50-year-old guy, but I'm going for a 50-year-old guy. And Pussycat is yelling at him saying, you embarrassed me, like, whatever. Goes to his car to find a knife stuck in one of the tires. And a guy sitting on a fence grinning. And he looks and he goes, you do this? He goes, well, lucky for you, and this is Rick Dalton's car he's driving. So he's very, lucky for you, Rick has a spare in the trunk. He gets the tire and the tire iron out of the trunk and says, fix it. And he goes, fuck you. And then takes a stance like, you better fix this thing. And the guy jumps off the fence and is like, what are you going to do about it? In his stance. Now, he doesn't say this. And Cliff comes up to him, and the shot is from feet level, which we'll get into later, but this is men. And you hear a thwack, and the guy's feet just lift off the ground. And he clocks him. I'm surprised the guy didn't die. And he's not done. He basically pulls him up by the hair and bashes him in the face 2 more times. And he goes, fix it. And he goes, can I have a rag for my bloody face? Like, no, rag later, tire first. And the ladies freak out and try to get Tex, who has gone off on a horse. They make money by leading people through the wonderful mountains on horseback. And by the time Tex comes back, he is ridden off, But Tex knows this guy because he kind of vetted him like, yeah, all right, before he went off. So Tex knows this guy. Fast forward to the Manson murders. They pull this janky jalopy into the cul-de-sac, and Rick Dalton he's had a day, and this thing's like, boom, 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 and he comes out there and chews him another asshole, and Tex is like he's itching to pull his gun on him, but they eventually back up, and they convince themselves that we don't know who these people are in this, in this house that Charlie told us to go, kill people, which we see Charlie very briefly. He's not, I think maybe he has 10 words in the whole film. It's just to establish that he knows people that used to live in that house. So we get to see Charlie, but he's not a big part of it at all. He was in at the ranch when Cliff goes up there. And they convince themselves that to start the revolution by killing cultural elites, this is the guy from Bounty Law. Fuck it, let's do that guy. He yelled at us. Fuck this guy. And of course, Maya Hawke forgets her knife, Linda Kasabian. And she starts to go back to the car, and Tex says, you're going to need your keys. I locked the car. He goes, okay. Gets in, and I thought something was weird. Sure enough, she drives the fuck off. She's like, nope, I'm out. And they're like, screw it. We got our knives. We'll hitchhike back, And they bust in on the house. Now, what you got to know is that there is a dog in this film that is wonderful. Named Brandy. She is, I think it's I want to say Rottweiler, but the relationship that this dog and Cliff have are very nice. And prior to the Manson folks pulling up, Cliff has decided to smoke the acid cigarette. So when they bust in, Tex has the gun, the other two girls have knives, and they're like, who else is in the house? Well, Rick had gotten an Italian wife when he was doing the spaghetti westerns, and she's asleep, so they pull her out there. And let's just say that he was in the middle of feeding the dog, 2 big cans of, I think it's called, I don't know, dog's tooth, good for angry dogs. Wolf's tooth, dog food for angry dogs. It's a thing that, Tarantino did. So 1 can has already been put out, and it's been established early in the film that the dog is very well trained. Very well trained. Just a little, and, the dog will stop waiting and go get the food and stuff like that. And Cliff is still holding one of the cans, this monster can of dog food. Like, imagine the biggest can you can ever imagine. I mean, for dog food. And let's just say he sicks the dog on Tex and takes that can and throws it into one of the girls' faces, like breaking her face. Just breaking her face. And then he takes the other girl and literally takes her and just like smashes her repeatedly into the fireplace and every surface. It got to the point where, dude, I think she's subdued. Chill.
Right.
No. Ugh. And the girl with the smashed face freaks out and gets, Texas gun, which has been dropped because, obviously when you're having your balls bit off by a dog. And she staggers out to the pool, crashes through the sliding glass door, and there's Rick with headphones on and a floaty in the middle of his pool. And he's like, what the hell? And she's freaking out with the gun. She like can't see. She's just, and she gets into the pool and she starts shooting wildly. And should I give this away? Sure. Spoilers, people. Big spoilers. It's been established in one of the great films that Rick Dalton had done in the past called 14 Arms of McCluskey. Okay. Where he pulls an Inglourious Bastards on a room full of Nazis with a flamethrower. Yeah. And the whole thing about it, he tested it and, it was like, whew, this is hot. Can we turn down the heat? And he goes, dude, it's a flamethrower. Well, he goes into his pool house and comes out with the fucking flamethrower. And she's in the pool, like, shooting, going, and he just fries her in the pool. Oh, my God. I mean...
So total revisionist.
Total revisionist history. Total revisionist history. In the process of all this, Cliff he gets shot. Okay. But he's fine. He's gonna make it. And the film just ends with him going to the hospital. Like, no, you rest up. Tend to your wife. I'll be fine. I'll see you tomorrow. And one of the people from the Manson house, now not the Manson house, come down like, what's going on? Oh, and it's like, hey, you want to come up for a drink? And it's Sharon Tate. And he goes, yeah, okay. And the film just ends on that note.
So she's still alive.
Oh, yeah. No, nothing happened in that house. And the thing is that they did a TikTok of the events of that evening with Kurt Russell narrating, saying, Abigail Folger, she's the heiress to the, she did this, and Sharon, and they all went out to the restaurant. And at this time, Sharon went to bed. And, they got it right up to the time. And then they switched over to...
What, Tarantino... universe.
They basically lined it up to like, oh, okay. And they set it up
That's such a weird Tarantino thing, because that was like my thing with Inglourious Bastards. I watched it and was like, wait, what? We're gonna blow up Hitler in a movie theater?
But man, here's the thing. Wasn't it so satisfying to see 2 Jewish men machine gun Hitler into a fine mist?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And just roast an entire theater full of Nazis. So now, that same feeling, like the fuckers that did the Manson murders are utterly destroyed.
Okay.
In the most just graphically, I mean, over the top way.
Tarantino, what?
Yeah. And not like, weird, like, the arm gets cut off and the fake blood, because
Yeah.
This was like viscerally, fuck these people. Because the Manson murders ended the feel-good vibe of the 60s.
Yeah.
That was the delineation. That was the mark.
The line of demarcation. Yeah.
After that, it got cynical and fucked up.
Yeah.
And by the time Watergate rolled around, people are just like, fuck everything.
Yeah. Vietnam was still going on, too.
Of course.
Yeah. And
of course.
So, yeah.
So, it's a cultural moment. And, who can say that if the Manson murders didn't happen,
things would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I remember, Joe Didion wrote a book about the Manson murders. And the one thing she found out by interviewing a lot of people is that they were not surprised that this happened. They were shocked and horror that this particular thing happened, but this bit of violence, they're like, I could sense it coming. Kind of like this weekend. You do know that we've had two mass murders within a space of 24 hours.
Yep.
That makes 250 mass murders, and we're 219 days into the year.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, where other countries are at 0 or 1. I think the nearest one is 3.
Yeah.
So it's all zeros, so 1s, a 2s, a 3, and then we're at over 250.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between? So that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole
for
other
another
thing.
So
what we need to get to is what we've been teasing this whole time.
Okay.
Because what I've heard about this. And
all right. It has been very well established in Tarantino films that he likes women's feet.
Yeah.
Boy, does he like women's feet. And where he can put it naturally into the film, he will. He doesn't, just say, I got to get feet in here somehow. How am I going to do it? It works in that it doesn't take you out of the film other than the fact that, oh, here's Tarantino doing his foot thing again.
Yeah.
But like when Pulp Fiction came out, you didn't think much of it. Like, even when Kill Bill happened, you're like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear it's like not gratuitous, but it is plentiful.
It's
in this
in
movie.
your face. It's the aforementioned Pussycat.
Yep.
By Margaret Qualley. She gets into a car to go up to the movie ranch, and the way they shoot it, it's like the camera is positioned in front of the driver's side, shooting crossways so they can get Brad and Pussycat in the scene, and she leans back and thump, thump, puts her feet against the glass.
Yep.
And I said, that is so porn.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into feet on glass, whatever. And it's her dirty, nasty hippie feet,
yeah,
just smashed against the glass. And if you don't pay attention to it, the scene rolls on. You're like, okay, but I had a feeling there'd be feet, but it wasn't the only bit of feet.
Nope.
When Sharon Tate goes in to see the film, she apparently takes off her shoes and kicks up her feet so that the entire right third of the frame as she's watching is Margot Robbie's feet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to judge.
No.
Because it's... It is what it is.
Yeah, you don't want to kink shame anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I have a thing for eyebrows. The problem is that eyebrows are always there.
Yes.
They're, so it's like desensitive. Like, oh, she has attractive eyebrows, but it doesn't. It's like, what? Do you want to touch my eyebrows? No. It's just a visual thing. I have a feeling Quentin is Tony Rocky Hara getting his foot massage on anywhere he can.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that he actually drank champagne out of Uma Thurman's Louboutins at one point.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And I know that he had a thing for her.
Yeah.
I mean,
of course.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
Which brings me back. We didn't talk about the second potential 10th film for Quentin Tarantino.
Uh-huh.
Either Star Trek or another one that is possible. There is talk. Kill Bill 3.
Really?
Remember the what is it? Mountain snake? The first one that gets dyed. Vanita Green.
Okay.
Kills her, and her daughter's right there. And
Right,
she
right,
says,
I remember
if,
that.
if you feel sore about it, I'll be waiting. Well, apparently, this is her grown up.
Yeah, and Kill Bill was a good 15 years ago.
Yeah, so it's getting to
where
that point.
That character
actor-
at least,
yeah.
or the actor.
You're right. It would have naturally grown up. She
Yeah.
came off the bus, so that tells me that at least she's in first grade. What are you in first grade? Like 7?
7, 8, something
7,
like
8?
that. Yeah.
So 15, she's 22, 23. That's perfectly
Perfect.
fine.
That's for a revenge movie,
And so we'll see.
Or does he want to do something completely different?
Yeah, that's the thing. He said it could be Star Trek, it could be Kill Bill, it could be something completely different.
Yeah.
He hasn't made a decision.
Yeah.
And that's fine because he doesn't crank them out. I mean, one every
Couple years,
3 to
yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
He's not in any rush apparently.
Right.
So yeah. So we got
So overall grade for
on just the first view, I'd give it a solid B to B plus.
okay.
But I want to see it again.
Yeah.
And maybe even a third time. This is something to soak in and look for nuances in.
It sounds like the movie itself was good, but it sounds like he hit you specifically
Right.
with a lot of stuff, which is great.
Well, things that basically appealed to me personally.
Yeah.
The
You connected
KHJ,
to yeah.
the music, the
LA stuff.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there's more to
The
digest.
nostalgia
there.
of it.
I already know for a fact that I'm going to get the Blu-ray, if for no other reason that I can slow frame through some of these drive-thrus of old Los Angeles, because they really went all out. I mean, I don't know how much of it was digital. For the drive-thrus, I'm pretty sure it's probably most of it was digital, because I mean they drive around a lot. But it's worthy. I mean, it's worthy of owning, I think. But for me to get the full oomph of it, definitely need to see it again. Whether I'll see it in the theater again, I don't know. My ticket was $15 fucking dollars. I'm like, I have like a $10 to $12 threshold most of the time, but it's Tarantino, man. Yeah. I didn't see Reservoir Dogs in the theater, but I was on board from Pulp Fiction on.
I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater.
Yeah.
I remember, and it was one of those things. It's like, what is this? We don't know. Let's go see this. I don't know and it was in a weird little art house theater. It wasn't even in like a major like multiplex. I remember back in the day.
I saw it in a major second run theater that did the single screen.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Single screen, 35 millimeter.
Yeah, it was,
and this was I think I saw it in Orange County, not in Los Angeles. I could still remember the road and what side of the road it's on and how it kind of looked. I couldn't name it off the top of my head. I don't even know if the theater's still there. But I went and saw it with my girlfriend at the time, and I walked out of that going, holy shit.
Yeah. It was like, what was that?
That guy can write dialogue like a motherfucker.
Because we had seen Reservoir Dogs like on video,
Right.
Like it wasn't, and then it was like, oh, it's that guy's next movie, and it was like, holy shit, what is this?
Yep. That's why I like the title card, or the leading up to the title card on Kill Bill. What was it? The 7th film by Quentin Tarantino. Which, for anybody else, you'd be like, fucking ego much? And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What was it? Kill Bill? Oh, no, maybe it was 6th. I can't remember what number it was. Let's see. Can we name it? It's Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, Death Proof, Django, Hateful Eight, Once Upon... Oh, I'm missing one. What am I missing? What Tarantino film am I missing in there? If only there was a special magic box where we could look it up.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I did Hateful Eight, I did Django. There's probably one in there that I'm missing. I definitely don't count... he did that one scene in 4 Rooms, which is really...
No, that doesn't
Which
count.
was great, but that doesn't count. That's not a Tarantino film. That's just a guest thing. I think that's where he picked up Eli Roth.
Yeah.
From that forward. I mean, come on, he's the great person to match up with Honey Bunny.
Oh, you missed Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, of course, Inglourious Bastards. Duh.
Yeah. So
Another one he did with Brad Pitt.
Right.
I mean, I tell you, Jewish guys beating the shit out of Nazis, that just felt so
yeah.
good.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
How do you not love that?
I like revisionist history. I liked where it's like it's really authentic up until it's not. Like he uses the era and the known tropes of that era,
Right.
and then twists them to get to where
He wants to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what he did with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
He got it all together. He got, half of the stuff is like, yeah, these are people that actually exist. Other people he created to mix in, meld in, to get you to the Manson house, and then you go next door.
That's so weird.
I love it. I love it. So yes, overall grade B plus.
Okay.
B plus. Probably going to jump up on.
I have a feeling you're going to watch this one a bunch. It sounds.
Oh
like.
hell yes!
Yeah.
I may not go into the theater multiple times because
No.
money.
Yeah.
But when it comes out on Blu-ray,
And it's long.
yeah, actually for the price of 2 tickets, I will own the Blu-ray when it comes out. So it's like, you know what? I've got enough on my plate. I can go ahead and get the Blu-ray, and who knows? By that point, it may have a director's cut, which I will watch. I mean,
like I said, from what everything they say, it's going to go to Netflix. But I mean, there is going to be a director's cut.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people said, "Wow, he's trying to pack too much into it." It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like, people, some stories need to be told over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of movie audiences have been trained to like 90 to maybe just a
2
hair
hours.
over 2 hours, and beyond that, it's like, what are you doing? It's too much. Like, who says? Who fucking says?
Yeah.
Some stories, can you tell the story of The Stand in 2 hours?
No.
No, it's a story that needs more.
Right.
Just because 2 hours is what everyone's used to, fuck that noise.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is not going to be a 90-minute movie.
No.
It just can't.
No. Hell, just the time they spend in the Shire before they get going is 90 minutes.
Yes.
know?
As a matter of fact, yeah, it is.
And all the false endings at the end of Return of the King, that's a full 90 minutes. Like, oh, it's over. Oh, no, it's not over.
No.
Oh, no, there's
Still not
more.
over. Oh,
yeah,
no.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy with that. I just watched for the first time in a long time Lawrence of Arabia. That's a nearly 4-hour film.
Yeah. So is The Godfather.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely fine with that.
I'm better with that at home when I can pause it and go to the bathroom.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing.
But
Lawrence
it
of
had an intermission.
That's right. Lawrence of Arabia had a full fanfare leading up to it with a blank screen. I watched the whole thing, like 3 minutes of just music before a picture came up.
Yeah.
And when intermission happened, it was the intermission.
I think when Tarantino did the roadshow of Hateful Eight, there was also an intermission. Like, he put one in.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, my buddy went and saw it. He said it was like the whole thing. It was like the whole like 78 millimeter or whatever it is, like crazy print or
78 mil.
Isn't that a thing? I don't know.
35 millimeter.
There was like the 35 millimeter print.
You're talking about 70 millimeter?
Maybe, yeah, that's what it was, 70 millimeter.
Okay.
Like a big crazy thing.
Okay.
But it was like a longer version of it, and I think there was an intermission and like a whole
well, see, that's
not
the
prologue,
thing.
but an
epilogue?
No. What's the word I'm looking for? An intro with an orchestra, like lead up.
It's intra. Yeah, it's French. It's
not an entr'acte, but
intra.
yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Like a lead up,
right?
to it,
Because Tarantino is old school. He likes that shit.
Yep.
And if they could have definitely done that with this film, but it would have stretched the whole. It's all about the money because theater exhibitors are going, it's that long, huh? That's one less showing over the course of a day that they can do. That's, it's churn and burn like it is in a restaurant. You want to feed them and get them on their way so you get another table in there. If they sit there and just, pick at their food and drink from the same glass of, wine that you serve them, you're losing money in tips. The restaurant is losing money, but you don't want to usher them out too quickly.
Yeah.
So a lot of theater theater exhibitors, they have an association, and it's known in Hollywood. If you're going to hit us with a close to 3-hour film, it better be an event or
Yeah.
something, because we may not put it on all our screens.
You know, people are, unlike, say, Endgame, people are not going to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 4 or 5 times.
There will be some that will.
Some will, but not the majority.
No.
You know,
Oh,
whereas
no.
Endgame, people go 6, 7 times.
The ratio is like 1 versus a trillion.
Exactly.
I mean, Tarantino is an event for people,
For certain people.
but Endgame is a motherfucking
But still
event.
making, $44 million opening weekend, that's huge for a movie like that. For a long movie like that.
For a long movie like that.
That isn't a sequel, that isn't a superhero movie.
Exactly.
No.
So that's the thing. There's very few directors out there that when they put out a film, people are like, oh, Scorsese's coming out with The Irishman.
Yep.
Not in theaters, on Netflix.
Crazy, yeah.
And you get Pesci
De Niro.
and De Niro's back. And I think Pacino's in this one as
Yep,
well.
he is.
So it's like, I think this is Scorsese's like, all right, we'll do one last hurrah in the gangster thing.
Yeah. With the guys.
With
before
the guys.
We're all too old to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got our Goodfellas, we got our Casino.
Yep.
We did The Irishman. All right.
We can all move on.
we can
But-
what's the one that he did with oh, Jesus Christ, with Jack Nicholson? He won an Oscar for the role. It's I can't remember the name of it.
With Scorsese?
Yeah. It was Scorsese and Jack Nicholson, and I want to say, is it Johnny Depp? Leonardo DiCaprio?
Donnie Brasco?
No, not Donnie Brasco. I don't think that was a Scorsese film, although it was very Scorsese-esque.
Let's see.
I mean, it was one of the last big tentpole films that Jack Nicholson did. Because if I'm not mistaken, the last thing that Nicholson did movie-wise was a rom-com with Diane Keaton that was just like,
I remember
what?
that, yeah.
I was like,
The Departed. No.
yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. The Departed.
Yeah.
That's the film, and that got Jack. I want to say a second Oscar.
Maybe.
I don't know if he won anything for. I know he was nominated a shitload of times.
Right.
But at some point, Hollywood's like, all right, this is Oscar worthy. We haven't given him one yet.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
They're like, yes, this other performance was much, much, much better, but it's his time.
It's not, yeah.
They fucked up with Peter O'Toole. They fucked up.
For sure.
He never won for a role. They gave him an honorary lifetime,
achievement.
which was fine.
Yeah.
It just said, we love your work. We want to get you something before the inevitable happens. And he goes, well, I'd like to win it outright, but all right.
Yeah, what are you going to say? No, I mean,
It's like, fine, we'll give it a shot,
Yep.
and he did some later work that was good.
Mhm.
But anyway, the era of the director being the star in the sense like, oh, it's a Kubrick film. I don't care what it's about. I will see it. He's gone. I'm that way with Scorsese and Tarantino.
there's not many others. I mean,
And that's about it. Now
Yeah.
there are some directors like, oh, I wouldn't normally be interested, but I know that you're directing, so that makes me think, okay, there's a couple like that. Tom Tykwer, who did Run Lola Run.
yeah.
He always comes up with some pretty innovative stuff. I can't remember much of many others.
Yeah.
But the era of that is, there's a time where, Hitchcock comes out with a film, boom, you're there no matter what.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more about them than the...
And now it's about the franchise, about the,
Yes.
Hey, what, we can't do another Fast and Furious film? What if we just spun off 2 characters? Hobbs and Shaw, we'll do that, And I'll admit, I looked at the trailer. It looks like a roaring good time, and I probably will never see it.
No, not at all.
Because I think I may have seen the very first Fast and Furious, maybe, but it left no imprint on me, at all.
I don't think I've even seen that. I've bits and pieces of some of them, and it's like, yeah. I don't care.
But apparently they did like 6 or 7 of them.
Oh,
And
7 at least, yeah.
Yeah.
And they make huge
huge money. I'm like, okay, well, so does Transformers. I don't see those either.
Ugh, yeah.
I did see the first one.
First one was good.
Because the trailer's like, man, look at those big monsters like hitting down freeway overpasses with their hands. I'm like, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I told you I saw Bumblebee. I watched the last one and I enjoyed it a lot. It was because it was way smaller than the rest of them. It was, you could tell what was going on.
Right.
Haley Steinfeld's great in it. I dropped off the franchise many movies ago.
Right. And let's face it, outside of Star Wars, there's really no franchises that I really give a shit
the Marvel
about.
stuff, but I mean,
but I don't consider that a franchise. I guess it is.
I know what you mean though.
But it's
there's not a property like.
There's not a property that I'm down with Marvel. I'll check out. It's like Star Trek. Oh, they do a Star Trek film?
That's cool. Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. Maybe not in the theater, but definitely on video. I want to see it. Glad I saw it, and then move on. The last really good Star Trek film that wasn't of this new reboot, was the first one with the New Generation cast about the Borg and the first time warp. With that'll do
First
Pig.
Contact.
Yeah, First Contact.
Yeah.
That was the good one.
Yeah. The rest of them were pretty
were
awful.
just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the very last one was like
Insurrection
what
and all
are you,
that shit.
What are you talking?
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
Why is this a thing? Stop. Yeah. Where's the Q movie? I'm still waiting for Q. Q was the best adversary on Next Generation.
Well, the trailer for Picard, like as soon as I heard Patrick Stewart is back, I was in 100%. Like, I don't care. Like, just put it on.
It could basically have him after Starfleet just living on the vineyard or the farm.
That's it, yeah.
And never, ever, ever go into space. I'd be like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Just watch him being him.
Being
Picard.
Watching it.
Yeah.
But, of course, duty calls.
Yeah.
You got to, well, how did, Captain Kirk stay captain for so long? And even as Admiral, he kept becoming captain again.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just here to visit the ship. Oh, what's happening? Well, I'll just sit in this chair and I'll be Captain Kirk again.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with Picard. I hear that Jonathan Frakes is going to be in it.
Jonathan Frakes.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he's not directing some of it.
I'm sure he
because
is.
that's pretty much what he does now.
He's back. Marina Sirtis is going to be back. Jerry Ryan is in it. We know that.
And I saw one picture that looked like it was like a disassembled Data.
Yeah. Well, no, Brent Spiner is in it.
Oh, he is.
He's absolutely in it. Yeah, he's in the trailer.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Hold, it must have been
He's at the end of the. Yeah, there's a long trailer.
Is there? Okay. I need
Jerry
to see
Ryan
that.
as 7 of 9.
I did see that.
But yeah, Brent Spiner is absolutely in it.
And I'm wondering, they're gonna really need to de-age him, because if it's Data, unless they explain it somehow. I mean, obviously Schwarzenegger keeps coming back as the Terminator, and he is in his 60s, and he cannot pass for 83 Schwarzenegger.
No.
I mean, he could barely pass for 80.
They did it in that last one. They kind of de-aged him, and I heard it wasn't great. I didn't see that one.
But I don't think
Genesis.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting time for film. I'm starting to feel like post Endgame that Hollywood is in the same position in a way that it was in '69, in that it kind of doesn't know what to do, but in this case, they know what to do in the sense how to make the money, but not.
Well, it's everything is giant tentpole movies.
Exactly.
There's no small cinema. All that's going to Netflix and Hulu and stuff.
That's true. A lot of these innovative filmmakers that normally would have just been slaving trying to get their stuff, into a studio and get it on the big screen.
There's no point.
They're just like, you know what? Netflix basically
send it right to people's houses. VOD and streaming.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I'd rather do that than, I'll go to see Endgame, but I'm not going to go to, see a small indie film. I'll watch that at home and, support it. The last thing I want to talk about, just, speaking of big tent poles and it's kind
of easy there, sailor. This is not a time to brag.
Easy. It's kind of funny. Speaking of Endgame and all that, I finally got through all my CW shows, Arrow and Flash and Supergirl and all that for this season.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Arrow is wrapping up. This
One more
next
season?
Yeah. Well, not even 10 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're wrapping up, and they basically wrapped it up this season, and they're gonna like coda that into basically the next crossover episodes. Because every season they've done a crossover episode of all the shows.
Right.
And last year was called Elseworlds, and it was cool. It was like they started messing up the timelines and everything. And this one, they're doing one of the most famous comics of all time, the DC Comics, called Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, I've heard of that, actually.
Yes, and that's where it all the Earths kind of blend together and everything.
It's their end game.
It's their end game. It's exactly what it is. And they are pulling out all the fucking stops. I am so excited because they are bringing back their Brandon Routh, who's already in the universe.
Right.
He's going to be playing Superman again in one of the iterations, which he did. Burt Ward is coming back.
The Burt Ward?
The Burt Ward. Linda Carter is going to be Wonder Woman.
Holy
And
fuck.
I just saw today the thing that made me so excited. They're finally...
Getting Christopher Reeve's corpse to do...
No.
Inappropriate, Michael.
Inappropriate.
Don't
They're
do that.
finally going to let Kevin Conroy be on screen as Batman. And it sounds like he's going to be old Bruce Wayne / Batman Beyond with Terry McGinnis of some sort. And I was like, finally, God damn it, finally.
I'm happy for you because I know that's a huge fucking thing.
And these last this season of all the shows were actually really good. Arrow got its shit together. Supergirl got a little preachy this season.
Yeah, see, I went in for about 5 episodes of Supergirl, and I just went, I'm only watching because Melissa Benoist is so beautiful, and that's not a reason to watch a show.
I liked it. I like it a lot. I think it's good. Berlanti really knows his shit, and he's pulled he grabs all the characters that the movies aren't going to make.
Is he the Feige of the?
He's that guy.
Of the TV?
He should be doing the movies for sure. He should be the one in charge of the whole thing because he does it's all Easter eggs with him. Like in Supergirl, her parents are Dean Cain and Helen Slater, and he brought Mark Hamill back, and he's blending all the worlds, and he references. He had Barry Allen's father, the Flash's father, was played by John Wesley Shipp, who played the Flash in the 90s. And in Elseworlds, the Flash from the 90s shows up in the suit. They recreated the suit, so he's the guy who does all that shit. So
nice.
He should be in charge of everything, but I was just very excited about what's going on, with this whole Crisis thing. And they're all through this season, they've been dropping hints. So it's it almost seems like he's going to end all of it next season, but I don't think he will. I don't think he will.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The one thing that I'm, I will probably get around to these shows long time, eventually. And of course, by that time, everything will have probably finished, so I will know exactly which episodes to watch in which order.
There's a flow chart. That's how I watch it.
Exactly.
I have an entire flow chart.
Because not all series start on the same week, so you can just watch them. You have to do 2 seasons of this before you start that.
Yeah,
but
you got to do
to
2 seasons
point.
of Arrow, and then you get into Flash, and then it starts
right.
Now it's 5 episodes
exactly
a week.
It's basically a much more complicated version of the proper order in which to watch the Star Wars films.
Right.
Much more complicated.
Much more complicated.
Get to this point, stop.
Yep.
Do all these. The one thing that I really want to see, you said that Mark Hamill's back and they're bringing, bringing all the old school people. The one thing I really, really would like to see. Do you remember the old Shazam?
Yeah.
What I would like to see is
Medication time. Medication time.
we ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod is conceived, written, and performed by Micah Reed and Dan Baldo. That Will Benny Hassan is the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lono. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and Lexipol. Legal counsel by the Office of Howard and Fine. I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? podcast is sponsored by Deep Shack Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube, stream us on Spotify, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ.
Audio Primate.
Tina Delgado is alive.